Hola, bienvenidos. Soy Damián Kirchner, director de Mediamorfosis, y los invito a una conferencia de Cheng, un especialista de Taiwán dedicado a la distribución y al negocio de la realidad virtual, que nos va a hablar del actual mercado de la distribución y su futuro. Jimmy se especializa en entender cómo el arribo de la 5G, de la tecnología 5G, impulsa las posibilidades de la realidad virtual y las realidades inmersivas. Esta conferencia va a ser en un diálogo junto con Nicolás Mladinich, asesor sectorial de economía creativa para Corfo. Los invito a entender un poco más del negocio de la realidad virtual para poder producir, hacer lo que nos gusta, para poder contar las historias, tienen que ser sustentables. Es importante entender el negocio. Bienvenidos.
So thanks, Damian, for that introduction. And let me just say I'm pretty excited because I've been tasked with the privilege to welcome our next guest in Mediamorfosis. I want to remind everyone that after his presentation, we will have a Q&A with him. So he's the Director of Content and Business Operation at Digital Domain, the groundbreaking visual effects company behind movies like Avengers, Infinity War, Ready Player One, among many, many others. He's supported on collaboration and business development on virtual human and new media projects, focusing on acquisition and distribution of XR content around the world, representing over 170 XR studios while engaging with telecom companies for finding suitable licensing opportunities. Without further ado, please welcome, from his 6th day of quarantine in Taiwan, Jimmy Cheng.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for your very kind introduction and opening. And absolutely, this is really an honor to be here with you guys, especially, I met Damian almost 2 years ago at ITFA in Amsterdam. And he actually spoke to me about, want me to share more during the festival. But last year, because of COVID, so I'm very happy that I can be here today with you all and then just try to give you guys an overview about the distribution and licensing of the XR content, especially with the integration of 5G deployment from telecoms all over the world. So if you don't mind, I will share screen, and then basically I will jump in to a presentation that I prepare for everybody. So, hello everybody, I'm Jimmy from Digital Domain, and I'm basically focusing on the distribution of XR content, especially to support producers to distribute their projects to telecom platforms, Oculus TV, or other platforms that are looking for XR content. And I think the reason why I am so happy that I can do this speech is because a lot of people are still questioning about what is the monetization opportunity, or where is the distribution strategy for XR content. And at the beginning, I would just give a very quick overview about Digital Domain. Digital Domain is a company that founded by James Cameron when he was shooting Titanic, because at that time, there wasn't any visual effects, CGI for Hollywood feature films. Everything, you want an explosion, you want a car crash, you just have to, have, real cars and real places to do all kinds of stunts. And that costs a lot of money, and that is very risky for the actors or actress. That's why James Cameron decided to set up Digital Domain and then start to bring Hollywood into CGI and visual effects. And basically, during the past 28 years, we are nonstop producing visual effects for Hollywood movies, such as like Avengers, Ready Player One, Fast and Furious, and we just complete Black Widow in last July, but the box office is still not working, so we're still waiting for Black Widow to be online. And right now, we're working on the new Spider-Man, and we will start to work on another Marvel movie very soon. And this is actually how we have a good visual effects pipeline. So in 2014, when some of the people started to talk about VR or XR, we actually stepped into this industry because we know that we have a lot of 3D models and assets. And because of the pipeline we have for visual effects, it is actually easy for us to test and also produce different kinds of VR contents. So basically, you can see from this screen, you can see like the very first VR commercial for Nike. And this is actually featuring Neymar. This is a pure animated VR content, VR commercial, and even Neymar is actually done by CGI, virtual human. or like the live streaming for like 2016 Rio Olympics, or like Taylor Swift live production music video, or even like for Obama's speech to the party. And we actually did a lot of things during the past for the VR ecosystem. So right now, I want to show a very quick video just to let you guys see what have we done before, and then we will jump into the XR distribution for 5G and telecoms.
Let's go!
So this is actually just a brief background about what Digital Domain used to do in XR ecosystem. And from now, we are going to talk about telecom, 5G, and XR platform. And this is really all about distribution, about how you actually make the strategy for distributing your content, where you can actually see a potential revenue that can come from, no matter from the telecom or any XR platform. And before that, I want to show a very interesting slide that actually shows a really true history that we've been through that during the past 6 years. So from 2014 until 2018, Digital Domain actually spent over 20 million US dollars on content production and content creation. We created so many live production content, animated content, original IP. And those are great historical content in the past. And I'm still distributing these contents. But we faced a big challenge when we started to try to monetize our content in 2018 and 2019. The capital we actually monetized back from the market was only about 400,000 US dollars. And that was a huge problem because we invested over $20 million. That was a huge loss. So from 2019, we actually stopped producing our VR content or XR content. We support a lot of studios to work on the content that they want to create, such as like the Martin Luther King project for Time magazine last year, basically is to recreate Martin Luther King to do the speech, "I have a dream," in front of you if you actually wear a VR glasses. But from 2019, we also discovered something new. This is why I say why XR distribution. Before, we didn't see a potential or to see how we can actually monetize the project. But from 2019, we saw two things. The first is location-based entertainment. The second one is telecom 5G plus XR platform. And today we will be more focusing on the telecom 5G plus XR platform is because this is my main focus. And the other thing is because right now we're still under the COVID situation. So location-based entertainment is still not coming back at this moment. It will come back when more people get the vaccine, when more people can actually go out. So no matter you go to a playground, you want to go to a museum, you want to go to exhibitions, these kinds of LBE experiences will come back in the future. So today, we'll focus on telecom plus 5G plus XR platform. For XR industry, when we talk about like bandwidth, when we talk about hardware, or we talk about distribution and revenue, these are all the challenges we have. For hardware, yes, right now we have better headsets, such as the Oculus Quest 2. This is so much lighter compared to the old headsets that we have, but it is still a little bit heavy. it is still under users' expectation. So yes, for those gamers or for us as industry people, we feel the headset is getting so much better. But if you want to grab someone on the streets and then tell them, this is a VR headset, this is the best one we have, try it. They will be interesting, they will be exciting. But after they use that for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, some of the people, they still will feel dizzy. Some of the people will still feel this is complicated use, this is heavyweight, this is not that comfortable. And some of the people, such as, give an example, most of the people or everybody in this world, we have iPhone or Android phone. Some of the people, they even have two phones in their pocket. And normally one smartphone costs you like $1,000 or even to like $1,500. Right now a headset is in between like $200 to like $700. But for a normal end user to spend that much money to buy a headset, and they actually don't have that many contents to watch, or they only use that for 1 or 2 times a week, this is still gonna make them feel hesitated to buy the headset. But of course, hardware is getting there. It's getting really better and better. So for bandwidth, when we talk about VR content, let's make it a comparison. If you want to download a movie on your phone from Netflix or Apple TV, it maybe takes you about like 20 minutes, and then you can have a really good full length of movie on your phone. But for XR content, it can easily reach to at least 4K or even 8K. So if you want to download, just like a 10 minutes live production XR content, it probably will cost you like 30 minutes or even longer if your Wi-Fi is not powerful enough. So basically, bandwidth is a problem for people no matter to live stream the content or to download the content. So basically, the entire industry or the entire world is waiting for bigger bandwidth. And thanks to 5G, it started to come up from last year. So right now, streaming and extra content is not a problem anymore. But of course, we need 5G to have more deployment in the future. So right now, market is still waiting for a well-deployed 5G and also cloud computing, because not everybody can spend a lot of money to buy a really powerful headset or a powerful laptop or computer. So if cloud computing can really exist and really happen in the next 1 to 2 years, it can actually reduce a lot of computing that we need at our home, but everything that goes to the cloud, it can be faster, it can be easier, and also the headset can be lighter because you don't need that kind of crazy graphic cards to power your headset. And the third challenge is always distribution. Because right now, if you are a creator, you're a producer, when you are producing your content, normally you will say, okay, I'm gonna make my content on Oculus, on Viveport, on Steam. If that's a game, I wanna go to PSVR. And then what else? Probably you can go to some museums. Probably you can go to some exhibitions. But still, we don't really see a big picture about the distribution of XR. So distribution is still like the biggest challenge, for this industry. And the last one is also related to distribution. It's about revenue. Because producing an XR content, you have a higher production cost. And also, because you don't know how to really distribute your project, it's hard for you to foresee what is your forecast revenue. And also, it's because right now, some platforms jump in, some telecoms jump in, some people say they're gonna do location-based entertainment. So we don't really have a fixed business model. For example, right now I'm Universal, and I'm basically producing a new Fast and Furious movie. When I'm producing the movie, I already know who and where I'm gonna distribute. I know who is the distributor in China, who is the distributor in Taiwan, who is the company I need to talk to in USA. So basically, for traditional movies or TV series, there is a fixed business model for you to forecast what is the revenue you can get. So it's easier for you to actually calculate how much budget you want to spend on the project. But for XR, it is completely different. You don't have a fixed business model, so it's hard for you to estimate revenue. And of course, it's hard for you to recoup costs. So later, when we start to talk more about distribution, it's actually helping you to define what is the content you want to make. Where is your target audience? How do you forecast your distribution strategy? How do you forecast the revenue you can get? So that actually provides you a better strategy to go to find an investor or to produce the content or go to the market. So why 5G plus XR? A lot of people are asking, why telecom wants to use 5G plus XR? The reason is because telecom, when they started to think about 5G, they actually don't know why 5G is important to the end user. So another example, I'm a distributor and I need to download a lot of contents from online. And I also need to upload a lot of contents because I need to deliver to my buyers for them to curate or for them to showcase on their platform. So I actually need a huge bandwidth so I can reduce the time that I'm uploading or downloading the content. But for a normal end user, maybe you or maybe your parents or your kids, 4G, LTE, or the normal in-home Wi-Fi that you have is already enough for you to actually download everything, and also enough for you to like stream the content you want or to do any Zoom call or Google Meet that you want. So why do they need 5G? That's why telecom wants to find different kinds of showcase to show the bandwidth of 5G, why 5G becomes more important. Because a lot of people are saying, oh, 5G is good for data research, it's good for big data, it's good for security, good for hospitality, but why for us? That is the main goal that telecom needs to showcase. And then the second thing is they want to promote the 5G mobile, because if you don't really have 5G, why do you need to switch to a new phone? If you actually just got an iPhone 11 last year, why do you need to change to iPhone 12? Or maybe next year, why iPhone 13? Because right now, it's easy for us to use a phone for 3 to 4 years and it's still really good quality. And then the next thing is they want to promote XR headset to test if the new media, fits into their domestic end users. Because most of the telecoms, they have basically feel this is a good chance for them to become like the new core of the entertainment industry. So they want to test this new media. No matter you say VR, MR, AR, they just want to see if this can become the mainstream entertainment, just like Ready Player One, to their domestic users. So since 2018, the reason why we start to see the opportunity of distribution is because in 2018, Orange in France and Deutsche Telekom in Germany and LG U Plus from Korea, they actually started to set up their VR platform because they started to plan for their 5G deployment, especially for LG. They came out 5G as the first country in the world in 2019. And then more and more telecoms jump in. So right now we have telecoms from China, from Japan, Korea, Singapore, Thailand, right now even in Taiwan, and also more Southeast Asian countries are also jumping in. These telecoms are basically all setting up their VR platform or XR platform to showcase the bandwidth of 5G, to license content, to distribute to their end users, and then basically is to test how their end users feel about this new media. So when telecoms started to do VR licensing, they are actually licensed the very simple format, which is the traditional 360. It's an MP4. You're basically just watching a film and you're in the middle, inside of the ball. And then you just look around, no matter it is on iOS, on Android, on a pad, or maybe on a headset. But it's still like the easiest way and easiest format. The reason why telecoms started from this format, but not 6DoF, or not AR, or not MR, is because when telecom are distributing content, they want to make sure they can access to most of their end users. And they know it is impossible for them to promote millions of units of headsets because that is a really big cost for a telecom to put as an investment. And also it will be very hard if you want to persuade all your users, say, okay, right now we're promoting VR and XR, and here is a headset, it's Oculus Go, it's Oculus Quest, you can spend that much money and then you can have it. As what I said, a lot of users are hesitated to buy a headset because they don't see that they will use the headset for multiple times in a day or in a week. So the easiest way is to distribute the content to all the screens that these telecoms already can see. That is basically your phone and your pad, and maybe some of the users that they do have headsets. So the next slide I want to show is a VR platform, but on a mobile phone. You can see it's actually a blended in between mobile phone and also headset. But this is really how these telecoms started to do as their first step for 5G plus XR. And this is actually how we start to see there's opportunity. We can support producers to distribute the content to these telecoms and then gain revenue back from them. So that is actually a video that we render out from the platform Magenta VR from Deutsche Telekom. And you can actually see for those contents they showcase is basically traditional 360, no matter live production, animation, drama, educational content, wildlife, or travel content. And that is actually the easiest way for these telecoms to step into XR plus 5G since almost 3 years ago. But is there anything new? Because as a creator, producer, or even as a distributor, we understand traditional 360 as 3DOF content is actually not powerful enough. It's interesting for a user to try as the first time in their life. But once they try for a few films, a few contents, they start to feel this is not immersed enough. Because when they feel that they are in the center of the world, the next thing they want to do is, can I touch it? Can I move around? Can I actually be the God in this world that I can walk around, I can do whatever I want, or I can even decide or choose how the story gonna go to the next chapter? So from 3DOF to 6DOF is a trend. This is a trend that actually started to happen from 2019. A lot more studios started to produce 6DOF content because they know users, they need more interactivity and immersive feeling. But for telecoms, 3DOF to 6DOF is actually a trend that just started to happen from this year. Because the past 2 years, 5G is not enough, not ready, and then not enough headsets. And also at that time, not too many people understand about VR. So they were using those time to actually educate their users about what is XR. And then now they are starting to license 6DOF content. And also they feel because they do start to have a pool of users on their platform, and they want to make sure these users will stick with the platform or even start to pay money to license content or to buy content. So right now, some of the telecoms, such as like Orange or Deutsche Telekom, they started to integrate their platform or upgrade their platform from 3DOF to 6DOF because they understand they need to showcase the platform on a 6DOF headset. So basically for those people that they already have a 6DOF headset, they will be able to divert onto the platform that they have inside of their territory. And then for those people that they have interest in 3DOF content on their platform, they will be having more interest or even motivation to feel like, okay, I do like this. And I know there is something that I can be more interactivity, I can be more immersive. So maybe they will have more motivation to spend the money to buy the 6DOF headset and then transform themselves from a light user to a heavy user. So from 3DOF to 6DOF is actually already happening in between telecoms from Europe to Asia and also to North America. And also these telecoms are also taking 6DOF content, license these contents to do showcase. Basically is to do demos at their shop because a lot of users come in, they don't understand. The best way is for them to enjoy a headset, to enjoy a game, or to enjoy a film so they can understand more. And also, because when you're promoting 5G, these telecoms will do roadshows. These are great examples or demos for them to showcase, when they are going to another city or when they are doing a 5G event. These kind of cool showcase can also boost more users start to love VR. And there is one thing that is actually interesting, that is actually happening before and after COVID. And this is actually relate to a producer or a studio's plan. Because in 2019, when I started to know producers, when I started to talk to them, they normally will be like this. They have a concept design. They feel this is the content they want to make. So they start to drive the pitching deck, and then they start to go to financing. No matter go to a VC, go to a public funding, or find another producer in another country to do co-production to apply for grants. And when they start to have the money, they step into production, and then they finalize the content. Once they finalize the content, they go to film festival to premiere the content because they feel going to film festival is a good promotion of the content. And then they start to have interest to talk to a distributor. That is not a big problem, but there is a problem that I see is because when I started to distribute content, all the opportunities I saw is for traditional 360. But there are so many contents are actually made under 6DOF or interactivity. But because the producers, they didn't have a plan on producing different formats at the beginning. So when they actually complete the content, if you want them to produce another format for you, that actually costs a lot of money. And also it's because when we start to promote content to these buyers, we cannot guarantee I can definitely find a deal for these producers. So it's basically impossible for me to pay an upfront fee or as a minimum guarantee to say, okay, I will pay you 10,000 US dollars. Please provide this format for me. And then I will try to sell. Once I can find a deal, I can recoup. Then we do a revenue share. If I really need to do this to 160 studios in the world, I think my boss already fired me because that will be tons of money. And then COVID happened in the beginning of 2019. And then all the film festivals, they started to change to online, no matter CanXR, New Images, Sheffield, ITFA. And then things started to happen because these producers, they start to realize, okay, before I was always trying to produce a 6 stuff content. I want to go to location-based entertainment for box office, for ticket sales. And then probably these 6 stuff content can also go to those 6 stuff assets for selling. And then they don't have a traditional. But right now, because all the offline business is closed, and then we don't have enough headsets at home. So for in-home VR, yes, they can get some sales, but it's still not enough. So right now, for 2020, after COVID happening, when they have a concept design, the next thing they start to do is actually to start to understand a distribution plan, how they can distribute this concept, how they can go to the market. So they basically will start to talk to different distributors or exhibitors or platforms to understand what is the strategy for the type of content they want to make. Because if I want to make a travel content, or I want to make a drama, or animated content, or sci-fi content, the distribution strategy is actually different from each other because my target audience is different. So they want to kind of finalize the distribution plan, and they start to do pitching, they start to do financing, and also during the pitching and financing, they will receive different kinds of feedback from investors, distributors, or even buyers. Then they also modify their concept design again, and then they go to production. So when the content is complete, they already have the formats they need, such as like the 6 stuff exhibition format that goes to offline, and then the standalone 6 stuff version that goes to all the headsets and platforms for those heavy users to pay-per-view or just to free showcase. And then they mostly will start to have the traditional 360 format as a promotion material that if they want to put on YouTube or Facebook, they can do it, or they can actually come to distributor like me or other people that actually support them to distribute the traditional format 360 to telecom platforms, to Oculus TV, or other VOD VR platforms that are looking for content. And this new flow is actually supporting a producer and creator to produce the content under a correct strategy, because this is very important. And this is a conclusion that I came out with Liz Rothentoe from Venice Film Festival in 2020, because we were discussing to have a panel at South by Southwest last year, but it didn't happen because of COVID. And the name of the panel is actually find the right audience to find the right profit. Because I can give you an example. If right now I want to produce a drama, and then this drama is more related to the South American culture. So where is my target audience? A lot of people will say, oh, my drama is very interesting, it's very funny, so it's actually okay for everybody. But this is a wrong answer, because a content is definitely not for everybody. Some people they don't like Avengers. Some people they don't like Ready Player One. Some people they hate cars. How do you think that they will like Fast and Furious? So if you have a concept, you really need to study into the history, into like who are the target audience that they really like this kind of topic. So once you start to know where is your audience, and then the next thing you do is go back and start to do a big research. Are there any history projects that actually relates to your concept? Maybe similar, maybe same, or maybe like just under like the same genre, but like different ways how they execute. Go to study those projects, go to watch those projects, and then try to find out, are they successful? Or maybe some are successful, some actually failed. And then try to compare the successful experience and the failure experience, and then to go back to modify the concept. Why I want to make sure this is a 6 stuff. why I want to have interactivity, why this is interesting for audience. And then you actually know where your audience is, and you know what kind of format you want to do. You understand this concept is the correct concept, and then you start to do the pitching, financing. When you're ready, you actually already know where you want to go. Such as like if I want to create a documentary content, then basically Sheffield and ITFA, they are the target festivals that I want to go to premiere. If I'm actually create something very drama, very sci-fi, or very, very new frontier experience, I want to go to Sundance, Venice, South by Southwest, or Tribeca. And then when you actually go to these festivals, you already know where are the buyers, who are the distributors. You come to them, and then you start to distribute the content. And because you know where your target audience is, so you have a good way to persuade these buyers to believe after they license this content, this can generate either traffic or revenue on their platform. So they will pay money to license the content. That's why I want to use this as a conclusion, find the right audience to find the right profit. And this is the sharing that I have as an overview of 5G plus XR platform. And later, I will really enjoy the Q&A with Nicholas, because I think he's going to have tons of questions for me to share more ideas or experience that I have in this industry. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. That was really great. That was really insightful. And I want to just ask you right away, especially in the festival circuit that we were mentioning before, for a producer of XR content, the festival circuit, before or after a distribution deal?
You mean like to go to the festival first, or to go to the distribution first?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically so the traditional way they do it is they will definitely go to the festival first. Okay. Because normally the festival will consider, if you want to premiere at my festival, you cannot distribute this content to public. So such as like Venice, South by Southwest, Tribeca, these are the festivals, like the first tier of festivals. If you already showcase your content in public, they will never take it. So basically 99% of the producers, they will target to premiere at the festival first, and then they start to make licensing deals. But there is also another example is, I'm producing this content. I can give you an example. So there is a content called First Step. That is basically a documentary animated space content related to Apollo mission. And then that content, they actually pull in Deutsche Telekom as one of the investors. So they invest a partial of money as a pre-buy. But still, when the producer confirm the content is complete, the next thing they do, they still go to festivals. And then after a certain period of festivals, then they directly launch on Deutsche Telekom platform exclusively in Germany for a period. And then for other territories, they still can open for all kinds of non-exclusive deals, or maybe some of the buyers, they still want to do exclusive deals. So basically, I would say, if you are a producer, once you find out what is the type of content and concept you want to make, then the next thing is start to plan for your festival circles, because you want to go to the first tier of festival first, and then go to the second tier. And also in between the first tier, you want to start from the biggest. So mostly people will say, let's start from Venice, and then Sundance, and then South by Southwest or Tribeca. And then you start to go to all kinds of regional festivals in different countries.
Okay, so in your experience, what has been the main challenge for you to distribute content in different territories? Is it the content itself? Is it the genre? What has been, especially post-COVID?
So I want to say the biggest challenge I have is the buyer, they don't have enough budget. Okay. Because right now, this is very true, and I actually share this with most of the studio partners I have, because the catalog I have is really including about 500 titles from 170 studios. So yes, of course, some of the contents may be only for Chinese. Some of the contents may be only for Japanese. But still, I would say over 70% of the content in this catalog, that basically means over 350 titles, they are actually very okay to go to different territories. Let's make an example. I have 9 genres in my catalog. And then there is a big genre. It's wildlife and travel. It's a post-COVID time. Nobody goes out. So how do you imagine Paris looks like? how do you imagine Tokyo looks like? Right now, if you have a headset, if you actually have a phone, when you see a travel content, you normally want to click it and see how it looks like. But I have maybe around like almost 100 titles under travel. And then for these telecoms, when they are licensing content, because for 5G plus XR, it's still kind of like a test for them to do it, to see if this is good for their end user. So they are not spending like couple millions or couple minutes. Every time when they come to license content, they are licensing like under like $100K US dollar or like $150K US dollar. And this actually needs a batch of content. So they maybe will take a couple pieces for drama, a couple pieces from, travel, a couple pieces for documentary. So that's why I say the biggest challenge we have right now is we really need more buyers and more budget so we can support more titles to actually distribute out to different territories. But of course, every territory's curation is different because my taste will be different from your taste. Like maybe I like this, but you like that. But still, if we have a bigger budget, that means more contents can go out.
And would you say few territories or exclusive deals equals a quick buck in less time, or more territories equals more money but in more time?
So the funny thing for this question is, in 2017 and 2018, there were many people when they license content, especially as a distributor, they always feel, I want to pay you more money and I want to be your exclusive distributor, or I will be your exclusive distributor in China or in Taiwan. Because at that time, a lot of people were talking about VR is going up, XR is going to the future in the next 1 or 2 years. But until today, we know we need more time for XR to grow. So right now, basically is, if I'm a producer and then I have a good content such as Gloomy Eyes. Gloomy Eyes is a very famous content from 2019 and 2020. And right now, different people comes to me. And then some of the people, they will say, oh, I want to pay you how much money to have exclusive deals in China. If that amount of money is good, take it. And then you still can make different kinds of deals in different territories. Because the conclusion I have with a lot of producers is, right now, no one is really taking exclusive global or multiple territories. They are basically taking for one territory. And then outside of that territory, everything is still like open. So you can still, work on different kinds of deals. And of course, the deals, it's a really wide range. So if you can really have a exclusive deal from a territory, you probably can get like $100,000 or even $300,000 for that deal. And then outside of that, for all the non-exclusive deals, for small territories like in Taiwan, we only have like 24 million people. So maybe a non-exclusive deal for a telecom, maybe only $5,000 US. But right now, if I can have a non-exclusive deal in Germany, because they have more people, GDP is higher, they probably can pay you $10,000 or $15,000. So every licensing deal is like a case-by-case study.
Okay, so in this XR market, do you see a lot of difference between XR projects that are already based in existing IP from the ones who are not? Is there enough room to put in something completely new out there?
You mean like, do I see a lot of existing IP that becomes XR project?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. But the interesting part is, so Disney, they produced Frozen last year during Sundance. But the Disney's lab, they are actually producing this content to test the media and also to test the technology. So they are not really distributing the content. And then for other, I think Top Gun, that also has a content under XR. But the thing is, because right now the market is not really big enough or mature enough. So when a buyer comes out, they want to license content. I can give an example. If right now a telecom pays me $100,000, normally they can license in between 20 to 40 titles. That depends on like the quality of the titles they choose. Some are more expensive, some are cheaper. But right now, if they want to license a famous IP content, maybe from Universal, from Paramount, or from Sony, they probably will need to pay at least $50,000 to license just one piece of big IP. Wow. So when they evaluate, yes, I know this content can attract so many users, but the thing is, I need to make sure my platform has over 100 or 200 titles. So right now, if I just license that one IP and then I I basically lose another 10 to 15 or 20 titles. That is actually a damage. So these telecoms, they're still mostly licensing those non-IP contents. And also for these bigger studios, they maybe produce 1 or 2 IPs into XR just to see how it looks like, because they have a market. And when they realize not that much money is coming to license the XR content of the big IP, then they will just stop to produce it, because they still need to pay these actors, they need to pay that. So for them to produce a famous IP, that probably cost them like $1 or even $2 million. And that is basically impossible to recoup at this moment.
At this moment, okay. So, I mean, it seems to me that it's most like most XR studios are being forced to be like kind of not to be only a production company, but to take charge of the whole pipeline. So when they made a deal with you, you work only as a distributor or as a distributor / sales agent for that project. How does it work with that independent studio, for instance?
So actually, I feel like a lot of people ask me, are you a distributor or a sales agent? I have to say, I think I'm basically both, because when I distribute content, it's basically I need to go out to help them to find a deal. So I need to use my catalog and then approach those people that I feel they are looking for content. So this is what a sales agency is doing. But when I pull in a deal, I'm also become the one to actually to do the delivery work, to do the paperwork, invoice, payment, and everything, and also to monitor how the buyer actually used the content. So I'm actually a blender in between distributor and sales agency.
Okay, so I think it's important for our audience, especially for people who are producing XR content, to manage expectation about the sales that they're going to expect. Most of the project that we're seeing out there is on the art side of the industry. I mean, but does this industry, like the film industry, in some cases less and less nowadays, is working with MGs regarding licenses in distribution? Is that a part of this industry as well? Do you pay for MGs to the production companies, or that's something that you don't work, or do you don't work in digital domain, or does the industry does or does not work with MGs regarding distributions?
Okay, so basically, I think there are 2 ways to define with MG or no MG. So right now, if I am a company and I want to license Nicholas your content and then to directly sell to the users in my territory, then I'm basically directly doing a B2C. For B2C, you 100% need to pay a minimum guarantee, because once you give me your content, you don't have the access of my backend system. You can only trust me for the sales report that I provide to you. So if the content actually sells very well and then I give you a really fake report, you have no idea is it true or not, because everything is controlled by me. So if you want to do a B2C business, yes, minimum guarantee is required. And what I am doing for distributing XR content is more like a B2B business. Basically is I support you to demo your contents to multiple potential buyers that I know. And then I try to define who is actually the one that have interest to license your content. And then if they have interest, we will start to support you to negotiate, okay, based on their usage, terms, rights, period, how much money they supposed to pay for your content. So if I'm basically doing a non-guaranteed business, because I cannot make sure who is going to license, there are still many content inside my library that they never had a chance to go to the distribution channel that I know. So if I really need to pay MG for this kind of like a B2B business, I think I'm already broken, because that will be money that I pay out first.
Okay. Do you determine in most of your contracts, in all of your contracts, a cap on how many money you will spend as digital domain representing our content? Is that something that you, between the production company, can work something out? I ask you this because in the film industry, in the traditional film industry, I heard a lot of production companies that had problems in the past with sales agents. It's like they done really well on sales, but then at the end of the quarter, they said, hey, so where's my money? It's like, well, I spent just $150,000 representing your film, so I need to recoup myself first before we do the split. And that seems pretty logic. but it's not logic if you didn't define a cap for that expenditure. So I have a few production company partners that they were like, they sell their film in such a good territory, so many territories around the world, but they never get a cent because the representation cost of that said audience went to the roof, you know?
I get your point. And I can be 100% confident to answer you. The way I actually work in this industry is I represent your project, and then you don't need to care how many phone calls I do, how many emails I need to write, how many meetings I need to do, or even how many travels I do. Once I pull in a project, I pull in a potential deal for you, such as $10,000. And then we have a deal. $10,000, 70% goes to you, 30% stay with me. If you agree on this potential deal that you feel this is a deal you want to do it, we sign it, and then the 30% from the $10,000 is the revenue for Digital Domain, and that's all. So basically, for all the whatever work I do, you don't need to worry about that. No charge.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great.
Well, I have to say is because right now I think the industry is still very different. Like, you know, for traditional films, you can do a lot of commercials, banners here and there. You do really need to spend money to do those kind of like a marketing and promotion. But for VR and XR, like everything I do, I don't go to public to promote your film because there is no public I can really directly go to. I need to go to the platform that they license your content. So it's more like I have a catalog, I send emails out, we do phone calls, maybe send a watermark file for them to curate. And then they will say, okay, Jimmy, I'm interested in this. Then we start to make the business. So there is no an actual cost of money that I need to spend out. Everything I do is based on the time that I put into all the communication work. So my salary is basically the cost on doing all this kind of work. And I just need to tell my boss that I'm still, making money for the company, then they will not be unhappy. And then if I make the deal happens, everybody happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about language and the barrier that it represents for some countries while doing their content in their own language. I mean, especially for us, the Spanish language has historically had problems to get to some territories in the world, and but we see more and more projects being not only subtitled but dubbed. How does it work in the XR industry? Is it difficult? You should plan to have a dubbed version of your project from an early stage. Does subtitles work here for distribution? If it hurts the project, it supports the project. What are your thoughts on that?
So basically, I think when you're producing a project for French people, when they produce the project, they definitely have two versions, French and English. And then for maybe a creator from Chile or from Peru, when you produce a project, your mother tongue is definitely Spanish. And then the next thing you do is you have an English version. So the English version can be either dubbed or subtitles. So for stuff content, it has to be dubbing, because if you use subtitles in stuff content, it's going to be very messy. But if you're actually doing a live production, documentary, travel, or educational content, subtitles actually work. And then if we start to promote your content to different platforms, such as like the telecoms or platforms in Taiwan, in Japan, or in China, when they want to license the content and they feel the English version or the English subtitle is not good enough, such as like in Japan, they basically need all their content to be localized. Then we will discuss with the platform in Japan, says, okay, you can actually choose that we send you the script and you do the translation and put on the subtitles by yourself. You can entitle for the cost. Or you want us to do it, then you need to let me know. You want a subtitle version or you want a dubbing version? Then we will discuss with the producer to see what is the quotation for them to pay us to do this extra work. But I want to say from a producer's perspective, you really don't need to produce a really multiple language project because that really spends a lot of money. I think the best way you do it is have your mother tongue and then have the English version so you can go to all the festivals. And especially when those people are curating content, they do understand English. It's just when they want to license it, they probably will ask you to do a dubbing or subtitle version for another language in their country.
Is there a list of deliverables that you ask for every project that you license? Is it too much different from the film industry? Is it a really part of the cost when you sign on a distribution deal?
You mean like a delivery cost?
Yeah. Like I mean, like in the film industry, you have like a list of deliverables. That is like a list of like the sound
materials.
check. Yeah, materials. Yeah. Is it expensive as well in the XR industry? Is more like budget friendly?
So for deliveries, basically, when I start to represent a project, I will say, okay, give me whatever you have. The master output you have, no matter you say it's like a 4096 times 4096 or a 3840 times 3840, just give it to me, whatever you have. A poster that exists, a synopsis to introduce the project, that'll be good enough. And then when I really pull in a deal, when I report a deal to you, I will basically let you know how much they want to pay, who they are, what are the terms and usage, and also I will also check this is the spec they need for deliveries. So you probably need to re-render into a different size, and then you need to modify the poster to the spec that they need. And mostly that are the things that they need. Trailer, if you have it, perfect. If you don't have it, most of the platforms are okay, because a lot of XR content, you don't really produce a trailer. So like for the 500 titles I have in my catalog, maybe only half of them have a trailer, half of them they don't. And these platforms are very okay with it. So basically during the past 3 years, I didn't spend any extra money just to do the delivery, unless you want me to do a dubbing or subtitle or translation. Otherwise, it's just like the materials, we will talk to the producer to make sure they can make the material that we need. And mostly producers, they will not say they need an extra cost.
So in your experience, I want to take you a little bit about your relationship with production companies. And there's a lot of independent producers right here in Chile. The last time we did a survey, we find out there were more than 70 companies throughout the country that work in somewhere between AR, VR, or XR in particular. And what are your advice for people approaching a distribution deal, or what are the problems that you see when production companies approach to you or approach any distribution company that wants to put their XR content out there? It's like, is there any advice? Is there any, they come on to you with not all the materials, or they come on to you with a project that hasn't get started yet? Is it better to have a conversation with a distribution deal really early on, or just after, I don't know, a big festival?
Okay, so if you already have projects in hand, complete, come to me right away, because if you have a project, I 100% will watch it and then discuss with you what kind of opportunity I see for you. If you have a concept or a prototype or just a deck, still shoot me an email, because I have to say, before you are doing the production, it will be better that you can listen to more ideas from producers or from distributors or from buyers, because that can help you to polish the concept you have into a perfect way. Or even is after you hear so many different ideas from distributors or buyers, you probably will start to rethink, is this the real concept that I want to make? The format that I want to choose is correct or wrong? You actually can basically get rid of the risk, because when we are thinking about XR projects, so many XR projects, they sound so interesting. But when you actually see the content, you feel like, no, it's very different from the concept. So basically, if you can actually discuss with more people, basically it's just like the last 2 pages of my slide. If you can actually discuss with more people in the industry to do a lot more work and study, then you can try not to fail your project when you're producing it, because you know where the audience, you know what is the format you need, you know who are the buyers, you know who are the distributors. Then you actually can have a better way to produce the project, but not going to somewhere that you don't know. You finish it, and then in the end it goes to a festival, and then no buyer wants it. Maybe because the format is a problem, or maybe because the buyer are all looking for something else and your topic is just not a hot topic. And these are the things you can do a lot of study to try to avoid. So in XR, it's very interesting. There's no solid model to tell you how to become successful. There are a certain successful examples in the world, but they are not a solid model that you can copy or duplicate. But there are many things that you can study to make sure at least you don't go to a very wrong direction, and then you actually can become like safer when your project is ready.
Okay, so can you give me an example of the main challenge that you had while distributing a project? Like what have you faced in the industry that makes you think, oh my God, this is so hard, this is so new. What can I do to fix this? What can I do to improve this?
Okay, so there are some genres. There is no challenge, like travel, wildlife. These are the contents that is super easy to distribute. It just, they choose this or they choose that. I think the main challenge from other genre that we have is because outside of travel and wildlife, because travel and wildlife is you can easily imagine how the content looks like, even you never been there, because you can try to imagine what Paris looks like. You can try to imagine how a underwater life looks like, but it's hard for you to imagine, oh, a documentary like that looks like. Or, okay, right now I'm telling you I'm going to bring you to the space center, and then this is a sci-fi story, you know, monster's gonna come in and you're gonna save the world or something. It's very hard for a buyer or a curator to imagine how the content looks like. So the main challenge for distributing a content is like, I need to spend a lot of time to talk to these buyers to persuade them, please don't choose a content just by looking at the poster and synopsis or trailer. I really need you to spend hours and hours to curate a content one by one on your headset, because maybe this content sounds fantastic, but it doesn't look fantastic if you're under a headset. So the main challenge is, I actually, like for Orange or Deutsche Telekom or like the telecom in Taiwan, I basically, the first 6 months when we started to build a relationship, it was always back and forth talking about, I need you guys to spend time to watch. And then they try to refuse that. They want to just watch a trailer or something. And then after about a couple months, they start to realize, okay, Jimmy is right. And then they start to spend time. This is the biggest challenge. We need curators and buyers to understand XR content. And we need to be very patient to let them spend time to watch, to discuss with them, to share more ideas so they can get familiar with XR content. And then they will start to think, what is the content that is good for their end users, to their domestic end users? This is the challenge.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Jimmy. It's been really, really insightful. I was in another speech the other day in a master class, and somebody said to me that it got me, and now I find out he was totally wrong. He was asked about the 5G and XR, and he said, same content, different context. And now I see that it's totally wrong. I mean,
no, that is not correct for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
understanding.
Yeah, and this was like really insightful, and it's really, really good to see that people like you are trying to educate a lot of people about curating, a lot of people about business models, a lot of people about how the distribution model is going to change, and how 5G is not only going to get us to download our emails or our social feed in a more fast way, but to really engage with some new content and to really appreciate what a lot of talented people and producers from all over the world are doing in this format. So I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank Mediamorfosis for letting us to have this talk, and I hope everyone wants to try to produce content in this way, and hopefully to distribute with digital domain in the near future.
Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. I want to thank Mediamorphosis, for letting me to meet you. And I want to say this is a very, very interesting Q&A. This is why I try to shorten my presentation, because I feel you will ask a lot of meaningful questions for the producers and creators, in Chile. And I think you probably will receive maybe some extra questions or, ideas from, producers there. If you need please, just send me the emails or connect me with them, and then I can set up phone calls with them to share my ideas with them. Maybe I'm not correct, but I'm very happy to share as much as I have in my brain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank everyone for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.